This is the first time I have ever set up the SHIFTPOD MIR. The SHIFTPOD is a bit heavy. It weighs around 60 pounds and measures a little over 6 feet long. The directions are pretty straightforward. The website says you can set up the SHIFTPOD in under 2 minutes, which was my experience with it. You'll want to lay the floor out and set the SHIFTPOD up on top of it. Okay, so lay out the pod as flat as possible. This will help with the next step when you need to climb inside the pod. Open up one of the 2 doors and crawl inside. Push the center of the roof up until it pops open. Next, you want to go around and pop out all of the walls. There are loops on each corner for easy pulling. Remember, this is the first time I have ever set it up, so I was following the directions as closely as possible. After setting up all kinds of tents in my life and knowing how long it takes, or how long it can take, the SHIFTPOD truly does take less than 2 minutes to set up, which is pretty awesome. After the initial setup of the pod, you'll want to put the floors in. The floor is a single piece of material that zips right into the pod. Okay, so once inside the pod, it's going to take a little searching to find where the zippers line up between the walls and the floor. At first, I found it a little hard to get it started, but it got easier as I went around. And to be honest, I like that the floor zips on and off. With a normal tent, you can never get a deep clean because the floor doesn't come off. You're forced to actually turn it over or inside out, especially after a dusty or dirty festival or trip. This is super important, so it's pretty great that the floor comes off. There are 6 porthole-style windows on the SHIFTPOD. Each window zips in, revealing a sewn-in mesh netting. 2 doors with waterproof zippers are also netted pouches throughout the pod. Since the SHIFTPOD MIR is designed to keep you safe in harsh environments, they included 2 small vents with removable filters. Personally, I've never used these filters. I'm not super impressed with the removable filter, but I like the concept. Remember, this is a beta version after all. There are also 2 air conditioning vent ports. This feature is cool if you have an air conditioner. It's not for a wall unit, obviously. And you would definitely need a generator or a camp with power to hook it up. But it's great if you have that. The layout and shape of it really do make it feel spacious and quite comfortable. It does, after all, cover a 12 by 12 foot area and has 6.5 feet of headroom, that's a lot. There's more than enough room for a queen-sized air mattress and any extra gear you decide to bring along. The SHIFTPOD comes with an orange bag that holds a bunch of small extra items, which doubles as a bag you can use to hold trash. Inside the orange bag, you'll find heavy-duty tenting stakes, a stake puller, guidelines to hold down your SHIFTPOD, and 2 locks. Also, this gorgeous SHIFTPOD sleep mask and a pair of earplugs just in case you are a light sleeper. Taking down the SHIFTPOD is just as easy as setting it up. You start by pushing in each of the 6 walls until they collapse, and you'll also want to open up the doors slightly to allow the air to come out. And there are 2 ways to collapse the top from the inside, or you can attempt to do what I did by doing it from the outside, but as you can see, this might happen, so be careful. Might not be the best way to do it. This part is the hardest to explain, but what I did was go around the pod, pulling in all the sides until all of the silver parts were tucked away on the inside. Once I did that, I tried to wrap it a bit tighter so I could easily fit it in the carrying bag. The SHIFTPOD comes with a piece of nylon webbing that has a clip on it, so you can secure the pod before putting it into the bag. The bag itself is decently big, so it fits pretty easily inside. Zip it up and zip it out, and you're done. I've used the SHIFTPOD in many different environments, and the reflective shell and insulated walls do a great job for the most part in keeping you comfortable, especially when the weather is extreme. I do think that by no means is the SHIFTPOD an expedition shelter. It's far more focused on space and comfort over portability. the minimal time to set up and break down the pod is amazing. In the end, I'm very happy with mine, and I admit that if I can have comfort out in the wild, why not?